Hello everyone, welcome back to Afternoon Girls Club. I'm Julie.
I'm Andrea.
So today is a special episode that we haven't been doing an English episode in a really long time.
Yeah, so if you guys want to see subtitles, just head over to our YouTube channel. And because of some special reasons, we cannot film today. So you guys would just be seeing like Chinese subtitles. But I hope that can help you understand a little bit more about the topics we are going to cover today.
So what are we going to talk about today in English?
Today we are going to first talk about Squid Game, but it's something that's been popular for like months.
Yeah.
So I guess everyone has watched it, but we are not going to talk about like the plot because you haven't watched it, right?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I finished watching it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So do you like it or? Let me ask this question in another way. Like, do you think it's entertaining?
I think it's entertaining, but I don't really like the story.
Oh, okay. So is it because of the characters or is it because of the game itself?
I think I don't like the character, especially the main character.
Mm-hmm.
He has that kind of personality that I just want to shake his body very hard and yelling at him saying, "Stop being so childish! Grow up! Be a man!"
I really just don't like the way he treats his daughter.
Yes.
Because it feels like his daughter is something that he can leave anytime he wants, and he's not really being responsible like throughout the whole series.
And I actually don't like the concept of he always having this idea like someone could be in a life with him in the end of the game.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of like being too naive.
Yes, because at the first place, the game managers have announced saying that it only could be one winner.
Yeah.
So take it. And just go and win the game if you want to survive. Stop thinking like, oh my God, how many people I could help or how many people I could rescue in the end of the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my whole feeling about the series.
Okay, so I watched it like when it was first released. So I actually really liked it like when I was watching the whole show. But after finishing it, of course, I have a lot of different opinions. But overall, I think it's a series that's done very beautifully, like when it comes to its setting. Like the setting is just very awesome. But I think there are some things in the story that I don't really appreciate. But I think that's okay because, you know, we can all have our opinions.
Can I add on something I like about it? Because I just like, I was like bad-mouthing about it. But actually, they have some content I love.
Yeah.
I really like how they present the first game. Like the scene was really bloody, but they have like a relaxed jazz song, which is Fly Me to a Moon, my all-time favorite, in the background. So at first, of course, I feel very overwhelmed, but I don't know, it's also pleasing just because I love the music so much. So I think it's really well presented, and I do enjoy that part of the show.
Yeah, I also really like the way they are putting like very different things together to make you feel uncomfortable because all those games, including like red light, green light, and what else? The one that's about the
Candy?
The candy. Like those things are very like harmful to people.
Like nostalgias?
Yeah. And when you are putting this with like very bloody rules and very like scary scenes, it just makes you feel extra uncomfortable and realize how cruel these like game managers can be. And afterwards, some people recommended Alice in Borderland. And I really like it because it talks about a more complex storyline in the Netflix series. And the manga itself is also really, really great. So I actually recommend the manga more than the Netflix series. Yeah, so that's a little bit about Squid Game, but actually the main topic is not about the story itself. It's about one day I saw a Insta story. And the Insta story was saying that, am I the only one who thinks Squid Game is actually not really a good series? And after reading that, I was very, I was really in a bad mood because it's kind of like, it's also one of my pet peeves actually.
Oh, so for people who don't really know what pet peeve is, go subscribe to our monthly membership.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in it, please go check out on Mixerbox. It's Afternoon Girls Club, and hope everyone could find a pleasing content on it.
Yeah, so basically pet peeve is something that really bothers you. And I really can't stand it when people are using the sentence like, am I the only one who? Because you see this a lot in like online forum. So for example, when someone posts a picture of them like wearing a skirt and people would comment like, am I the only one who thinks this is absolutely disgusting? And I think that's just such a harmful way to put out your opinion because, you know, first of all, I don't care. And second of all, I think saying this, you kind of mean that you think your opinions are very important and we should all know that.
Yeah, and what I find this comments really bothering me is that when they say it like that, it's like, oh, I'm not the only one who think like that. Someone out there must be thinking just like me. And I think it's a coward move to just, they don't want to be responsible for their words. They want people who have the same thoughts to endorsement for his comment.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not just his or hers comment.
I think for like Squid Game, it's such a popular series on Netflix. And of course, a lot of people have watched it and some people hate it, some people like it. So your opinion is definitely not special. Some people absolutely think it's trash and some people think it's one of the best things they've ever watched. And by saying that, it's really showing that you are kind of ignorant to this world. I don't know how to describe it, but it really triggered me. And I also thought a lot about the idea of gatekeeping because I think one of the reasons why I always get so angry when I see this kind of sentence is because it also contains the idea of gatekeeping. And we will talk about gatekeeping later, but I think this kind of online culture where people are just throwing opinions here and there is kind of like making the online environment very toxic. It's kind of telling people that some opinions are smarter, some opinions are not. And it's making people afraid of showing who they really are or saying what they like openly, even on their Insta stories. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I was going to ask you that if someone making that kind of comment saying like, oh, am I the only one who thinks blah, 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 but then that person lists out all of the reason why he or she thinks that way, is that make you feel better about it?
I guess it kind of, but I think my first reaction would be, you know, you could have just like delete the first sentence. You can say you don't like the show and tell me the reasons. That's enough for me. You don't really have to say, am I the only one? Because, dear, you are not. So you don't have to like emphasize the fact that you don't like it and the opinion is special because of course your opinion is special. No one is like you. So maybe it's also coming from a place of insecurity. And I think the online space can be a place where we can all say what we like and what we don't like as long as we are not attacking other people. And by saying, am I the only one? It kind of means that if you like Squid Game, if you think the series is perfect, then you have the problem.
Oh, okay. So I think it in a little bit different way is that when people saying that kind of sentence, I think what they do is just being petty.
Really? So do you get annoyed when you see this kind of content?
I would just kind of ignore it.
Oh, yeah.
If I don't agree with them, I would just ignore it because if they're being petty, just let people who love pet people to do the job. It's not my job. I know if I couldn't stand it, I'll just let it go. Oh, but also, if I am really annoyed by someone and that person saying that kind of sentence, I think I'll probably respond it with, oh yeah, you're the only one. Congratulations.
Oh yeah,
You're the only one that have the strongest opinion on this thing.
Yeah, so maybe that would make that person feel like this is not the reaction I want.
Yeah, maybe that person just wanted to be whistleblower on this kind of topic. Like, I don't know, being a whistleblower make them feel superior than others.
Yeah, totally. And it's kind of like this trend. I don't know if this is a trend, but I think more and more people now are trying very hard to be woke, to be politically correct, and to be perfect, to be very well educated online. So whenever something is really popular, you have to say something like really different from what others are saying. So if a song is really popular, you have to say, am I the only one who think this song is totally overrated? Or am I the only one who find this singer to be not that talented?
I feel like you're just naming out all of the clickbait YouTube video.
Yeah, I'm like, no, of course not. Stop.
So the better way to put it could be, I don't like this song and here's why.
Yeah. So of course you can think, let's not say the name, but you can think a Korean boy group is bad and you don't like their music. You can list out the reasons why, but you don't have to drag other people down because that's none of your business. And maybe something that you really like can be a very disgusting thing to other people, but they wouldn't say it to you.
Yeah, I mean, this whole sentence to me, now I feel it's just like wanted to start a war.
Yeah.
Just like telling people, hey, let's bring the army. Let's telling people that I don't really like this.
Yes. And it's kind of creating this fear for a lot of people who might be not that confident about their own opinions. Because when they see these like type of videos or these type of Instagram stories, they would feel like, oh, maybe I should hold back a little bit more. I should check if my opinions are on trend. Maybe if it's like smart enough for me to say it out loud. If it's not, I'm just going to like hold it to myself. And for me, it's such a unhealthy way of creating a online space because, you know, we are already very afraid of talking about our opinions in front of real people. Then now we are like even more afraid of putting our thoughts online. Then where do we talk to people? Like there's really no space for us to be ourselves without being attacked. For a lot of like students, saying your opinion out loud online now is very hard because you can easily be problematic or be considered dumb by your peers.
Yeah,
so that's why I find it so uncomfortable. And I have another example. Like, have you watched Emily in Paris? It's a very famous and popular Netflix series, right? And personally, I don't like it. I don't really like the plot and I don't like the message. But still, I show this to my students a lot because I do think some elements in this show is pretty funny and pretty interesting. And I don't get it when people are trying to say, oh, this is trash. This shouldn't be like on Netflix because it's so dumb and shallow. I think you can have opinions, but you don't have to put your values and your judgment on other people and try to like change the world because then the world would be so boring. And
yes.
Emily in Paris does bring a lot of people comfort after like their really hard time in workplace. So how can you judge people when they like it so much? Like I just don't see why.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Andrea because we have to have some sort of discussable series, movies, books for us to have different thoughts, for us to build our values, but you don't have to share it on internet to everyone that your values is the most important.
So for example, sometimes I would like talk to my friends and I would say, I don't like Emily in Paris and here's why. And if you like it, that's totally fine. I'm not judging you because I like a lot of things that lots of people don't like and I'm fine with it. I think there's a difference between like saying things you don't like and being judgmental and like trying to like put your values on other people. I think there's a slight difference and actually people can easily feel it. Yeah, so I don't know like what I hope people can get from this episode, but I just hope that whenever we are saying things we don't like, maybe we can also think about maybe, you know, some other people can really get a like happy feeling after watching this or like listening to this. So maybe we shouldn't be too judgmental about the things we find disgusting or boring.
Yeah, I mean like before this episode, I was just talking to Andrea about what do you think the difference between judgmental and opinionated? And I think we all agree on being opinionated is totally fine because you could definitely have your opinion on things. But being judgmental, in the other hand, are saying you are putting your values on people.
Yeah.
And which is, I just don't appreciate that.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of like a good way to challenge yourself if you find something that's problematic. For example, you can list out the things that are not really good about this movie or this book so that people can know like what exactly is wrong about this work instead of just saying, oh, this is totally trash. Because when you say that, like people who like it can feel very attacked and they don't want to know what you want to say. And I don't think it's a good way of communicating. So for example, I think Emily in Paris shows a lot of stereotypes. And I think stereotypes can be a great, I don't know, like something funny for people to watch. But at the same time, you also need to tell people that this is stereotype. This is not real. You have to critically think. So I guess I want the screenwriter to put more this kind of message in the show. But, other than that, a lot of things in Emily in Paris are really entertaining. And I think by saying that, people who like the show wouldn't feel so, offended. Yeah, I guess that way our communication can be a little bit healthier than just saying, oh, I don't like it. And I think people who like it don't have good taste. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also a difference between judging something and discussing something.
想要定期收听更多书虫人生的精彩书单吗？
想要定期吸收更多影剧人生的心得体悟吗？
欢迎订阅我们跟 MixerBox 合作推出的午后女子会赞助方案，
每月提供一篇节目精选主题延伸文章，以及我们的每月书单、影剧片单心得分享，
外加每月 bonus 书虫人生特辑，以及每2个月一次的英文闲聊单集。
现在就去 MixerBox 搜寻午后女子会 afternoongirlsclub，
订阅不同层级的方案，为你的生活提供更多休闲娱乐的新选择。
And also, now I want to say something about like being politically correct, because like nowadays online, if you are a famous person and if you say something about race or social issues that's very wrong, people can cancel you or people can attack you or make you apologize. And I don't think it's a bad thing, because if someone does something wrong, pointing out their faults is normal, right? But like when you do that a lot and very aggressively, it's kind of making people want to perform like an act of being politically correct. So for example, I think a lot of people, they still have like stereotypes, but they are trying to convey messages that are like very peaceful. They are very like woke, just to like get the attention of the general public, just to get the like from other people. And I don't think that's a healthy way, because you're not creating a space for people to grow. I don't know if I'm being clear, but
I'm actually a little bit confused, because you were saying if someone wants to be famous, they probably would act out a character that is politically corrected.
Yeah, so let me give you an example. So there's this really famous like beauty YouTuber online. I don't want to say his or her name, but this person has made so many bad comments about people from Asia or Black people, and he got canceled a lot. And after that, he was trying to be really quiet and trying to act woke, but deep down, we all know that he's still the same person. He's just trying hard to not be canceled.
Oh, now I understand the picture that you're saying is because of the cancel culture that makes people who already being famous would like to hide their judgmental thoughts.
Yeah.
To pretending like they are a good person and to gain more fan base out of it.
Yeah. Because what cancel culture usually works is like if you did something wrong, and we will go like unsubscribe your YouTube channel, like unfollow you on Instagram, and we are trying to like say you are the worst person on earth. And after that, they will say, oh, I've changed. I've become a better person. There's really like no gray area. It's like either you're a good person, either you're like a totally scoundrel. But I think there's something in between. Being a racist person is obviously very terrible, but you have to give these terrible people space and time to grow, to slowly become people who are not racist. But now it's like, oh, you're racist. Change. So tomorrow you will be not racist at all. And it's like forcing people to perform right away. That's what I feel about a lot of like really famous like YouTubers apologizing and change their image like overnight. And that's what I find very scary, because we all know it's a performance, but in reality, we forgive them and we still give them attention, we give them money, we give them fame, and they're living the best life ever. But in reality, I don't really know if the society has become a better place for us to live. Yeah. It sounds like I have so much opinion about this world.
I think the cancel culture is starting from a good point, but what I really feel uncomfortable about it is that people tends to hurt them in a very bad way.
Yeah.
They want to destroy them, not just cancel them. I don't know, sometimes I feel like they just somehow want them to be quiet.
Yeah.
It's actually quite dangerous, and I just feel super uncomfortable about it, because how can you make people quiet? The only way for them to choose is to somehow
like harm themselves.
Yes.
Or like try very extreme ways to show that they are truly sorry.
Yes.
I have a very mixed feelings towards cancel culture, because when people who are being canceled are those who I consider to be absolutely terrible people, I do like, my first reaction will be, they deserve it. They're just being very bad to like some minorities. But after the first months, usually it leads to a very scary situation. People will attack their family, their appearance, their weight, the way they talk. It's kind of totally different from the thing they were attacked in the first place.
Yeah, they are denying he or she as a person to live.
So there's no way for them to like become a better person unless you disappear for 3 months and then you reappear and saying that, oh, I'm a totally new person now and I will be very, very careful. I will say everything right. I'll be perfect. So please forgive me. But, that's really not the way human beings work. So for example, if your friends or if your lover, your partner has done something very terrible, I don't think the way we want them to improve is by denying them as a whole package and then ask them to, renew their software.
Now I understand what you're talking about, and I want to echo on your opinion is that I think behind the cancel culture, some people might think they are bringing up some quote-unquote suggestions. But for me, the reason behind it is because you want people to be perfect and have no flaws. But we all know, if you're a human being, of course you have flaws.
So if someone that you really like say something that's very racist, you can comment on it and say, okay, so this phrase is really not a respectable thing towards this group, and maybe you can reconsider it if you really care about like this group of people that really like you. And if they don't want to change, you can decide to not support the person, or you can decide to attack them. No.
No, I think you made a point is that if you don't like this person anymore, then you should just live.
Yeah.
It's not you're
not obliged to stay in this fandom forever. You cannot change your person by just like commenting a really nasty thing about that person or that group of people.
I mean, if that person and that group of people decided to go on the wrong way, it's not your responsibility to save them. Mm-hmm. It's just how they are.
Yeah.
Maybe that's their true self.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're commenting, saying things like really mean things to hurt them, what would they do? We have no idea.
The thing I'm going to say is like all my personal opinion, but I really think any attention is good attention for famous people. So if you truly want to cancel them, I think the best way is to not give them any attention.
To not give them any views.
Yeah. So I think that's the best way to show that I don't care about you and I don't support what you say. Because if you watch their videos and you comment and you try to bring them down, the truth is you cannot do it. You just can't do it. Throughout all these years, if you are a fan of YouTube drama, I think you realize that cancel culture doesn't work. A lot of people who had been canceled like years before are now like really active on YouTube again, and they are still doing very harmful things to the society. So yeah, I think for me right now, if I don't appreciate someone's behavior, I would just unsubscribe. And if that's something to do with crime, maybe I would try to like say something about it. But so far I haven't encountered anything like that. Yeah. So I think the final topic we can talk about is gatekeeping.
Yes.
So gatekeeping is a really interesting word. So let me read this out loud.
The definition of gatekeeping.
I got this definition from Urban Dictionary, and it says, gatekeeping means when someone takes it upon themselves to decide who does or does not have access or rights to a community or identity. So can you give us a very easy example of what gatekeeping is?
Okay, so true story of myself. Actually, it's kind of my pet peeve. So let's say there's a singer who was considered independent singer, which means that singer doesn't have a big company to support him, so he or she might not have a lot of exposure to the society. So let's say he or she is not that famous, but there's still a group of people supporting that singer. So he or she has that fan base. One day, that singer received a huge award in the music industry, and people like the society started to notice him and congrats him and saying like, oh my God, his music is really good. Her music is really inspiring, etc. And there are some people from the original fan base started to step out and sharing their thoughts and saying like, I've already known this singer for a very long time, and you guys don't know what's really value in his or her music.
Yeah.
That is gatekeeping.
And another example that, I don't know if Julie has encountered it or not, but a lot of people who love Harry Potter can be gatekeeper. Like, for example, myself, I read Harry Potter when I was like 22 years old. And it was very late. And maybe, for example, one day I say, oh my gosh, I'm so into Harry Potter and this book talks about blah, blah, blah. And I'm so excited about this part. And maybe people who have read Harry Potter, they would consider me as someone who is like...
jump on the bandwagon?
Yeah.
Some people, they will think like, you're like the person who late to the party, but you are fake enjoying it.
Yeah, totally. And sometimes gatekeeping happens when you talk about like social issues or like racial issues, when you are just trying to make your voice heard by other people. You're not trying to like brag or anything. You just want to participate in this conversation. But sometimes people would say, oh, you're not in this field, so like we don't consider you to be eligible of like saying your opinions. And I think that can be really toxic. And of course, I understand a lot of people do gatekeeping because they don't want like random people to like throw their opinions.
I mean, they want to make sure that people who throwing out their opinion are someone who understand the whole story of it.
Yeah.
So I do understand it and I do respect that. But I just feel like sometimes if we're not talking about social issue or racial issue, if we're just talking about music, singer, idol, or actor, for me as a fan, I want them to be famous.
Yeah.
I want people to know them. So I will not be in gatekeeping and saying like, you have no right to tell me if that person is a good or not.
Yeah.
That is wrong. Like, I will be so hyped if someone say like, oh my God, this singer is so good. Then I will be so happy because that's what I want, a talented people to be seen.
Yeah. And like, let me give you another example. I think this is more serious. Like when some people are new to feminism and they are just very passionate, but they don't really know a lot of things about feminism. And sometimes they say something, maybe there's a tiny part of it that's kind of problematic to a lot of like true feminists. And maybe they will be like super angry and say, oh, you know nothing. You're not a feminist. You're a fake feminist. You're still saying these very like patriarchal things. And for me, that's kind of scary because you are driving people away. And then people wouldn't declare themselves to be feminists just because they are so afraid of being judged and being attacked by those true quote unquote feminists. Yeah. And I think for me, that's kind of scary when I try to put out my opinions out there, because I don't know if someone who's like gatekeeping would be like, oh my gosh, you have no right to say anything about this topic.
I just think of Gandalf from The Lord of Rings, like telling people like, you shall express yourself, you shall share your opinion on this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think under one situation, gatekeeping can be really helpful is when you are talking about a group that you don't belong to.
Yeah.
For example, if I'm not a Black person, I wouldn't talk about like Black people's issue as if I know everything about it. And I think it's great to talk to your like Black friends to check if this is something okay to say, or if is this something that I have the right to express my opinion. I think that way we can be more respectful towards minorities. And I also want non-Taiwanese people ask me before they say something about Taiwan's politics. Yeah, I think that's a gesture that I really appreciate. And I think gatekeeping can be really helpful sometimes, but if it's something about like a drama, like a song, in the end of the day, what we want is just like a best environment for artists to, release their songs, their music, and, whatever they want to do. We just want them to have the support from their fans. We shouldn't do it to people who are just new to the fandom. We should just welcome them, and maybe we can share information. We might not be able to know everything about a topic, and that's natural.
Yes.
In this episode, we can be a little bit aggressive sometimes. I don't know. I feel like I'm being very judgmental and opinionated today, but I think it's because I've seen so many toxic things online, and I feel very bad for a lot of people who kind of feel oppressed by this culture. And I just want to make my voice heard in this episode, I guess. And I think it's great to talk about this topic with another person so that I can have a clearer idea of what kind of message I really want to bring to this world.
Yeah, I mean, all we want is a safe environment for people to share their thoughts.
Yeah.
But not feeling attacked.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone could have their own thoughts on things. And it's totally fine you have it. It's totally fine you want to share it or not. But if you decided to share it, I just hope you could share it in a better way. Let's just say a considerate way.
So if you find something in this episode that you don't totally agree with, it's all right. You can talk to us through our DM, or you can comment on Mixer box. And as long as you are not trying to attack us in a very personal way, I think it's all fine, because our podcast is like a medium for us to communicate with people who care about similar topics. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I mean, thoughts is not always fixed.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, I would say, waited to be changed.
Yeah.
If there's a better thought. I mean, I am happily to replace my thoughts. So please feel free to share what you think about this episode and what you think on this topic.
So if you like this episode, you can leave a 5-star comment on Apple Podcasts, or follow us on Instagram so that you can see many good, fun things on our Insta stories and our posts.
So you can find us on Instagram by searching Afternoon Girls Club. Hope you enjoyed this episode.
See you next time.
Afternoon Girls Club, dismissed.